All right, welcome back everybody to the deep dive. We've got a really fascinating one today.
Yeah, this is a good one.
We're tackling the IELTS exam. For those of you watching on YouTube, some visuals are going to be popping up as we chat.
That's right.
I've got some great foundational info from you, and the mission is to extract the core knowledge someone would need to just get started, right?
Totally.
So we'll be covering what IELTS is, the different types, how the test is actually structured, and then just some initial tips to get people going.
Yep, a shortcut to understanding the essentials.
Exactly. I like that. So maybe we should just jump right in, huh? What is this IELTS thing?
Yeah, let's do it. So IELTS stands for International English Language Testing System.
Okay.
And it's basically a standardized test, right?
Mm-hmm.
Designed for non-native English speakers.
Mm-hmm.
And the idea is to prove your English proficiency.
Okay.
And it's accepted, this is the important part, it's accepted by universities, employers, and governments all over the world.
Right, like huge if you're thinking globally, right?
Yeah, exactly. And the reason for that is that it's well respected for its standardized approach, its focus on practical communication skills that you need in both academic and professional settings.
I see. Okay. Now, in your materials, you mentioned two main types, right? You've got academic and general.
That's right.
What's the difference? Or when would someone choose one over the other?
Yeah, so the main difference comes down to the purpose. Okay.
All right.
So academic IELTS is really for those who are looking to pursue higher education abroad.
Makes sense.
So it's testing whether your English is ready for the demands of university environment, lectures, essays, all that. General IELTS, on the other hand, that one's more for people who are seeking work in an English-speaking country, or maybe they're looking to immigrate.
Okay.
The skills being tested there are more aligned with everyday life, workplace situations.
Right. So more practical stuff, less theoretical stuff.
Yeah, exactly.
So different goals, different tests. And I think you mentioned that this difference is mainly seen in the reading and writing sections. Is that right?
Exactly. So for the reading section, the academic test uses these longer, more complex academic texts.
Like journal articles and things like that?
Yeah, exactly. Whereas the general test uses shorter, more factual pieces.
Mm-hmm.
The kind of things you'd encounter on a daily basis, advertisements or notices.
Oh, I see.
In terms of writing, both types have an essay.
Right.
But the second task is different. In the academic test, it's a report based on some sort of visual, like a chart or a graph.
Okay.
Whereas in the general test, it's a letter, like a formal letter.
Gotcha. So the skills they're looking for really match up with what you'd actually be doing, right?
Exactly. Whether you're analyzing research or, requesting information for your job.
Right. Very practical. Okay, so let's actually break down the test itself. What are the 4 parts?
All right, so you'll start with the listening section. It's about 30 minutes long.
All right.
You'll hear 4 different sections and answer 40 questions based on what you hear. Then comes the reading section. That one's 60 minutes, 3 passages, 40 questions. Of course, remember, there are those differences between academic and general here.
Right, right.
Then we have writing, another 60 minutes. And as we just talked about, there are 2 tasks there. Mm-hmm. The essay plus either the report or the letter, depending on which test you're taking. Mm. And finally, there's speaking. This is a face-to-face interview with an examiner. It takes about 11 to 14 minutes. It's broken down into 3 parts. An introduction, a cue card task where you'll talk about a specific topic, and then a general discussion.
Wow, okay, that's a pretty comprehensive exam. So how is all this scored? Is there a letter grade or something?
So it uses something called a band scale, and it goes from 1 to 9.
Okay.
9 being expert proficiency. Each of those 4 sections gets a band score, and then they calculate an overall average band score for you.
Gotcha.
So lower bands indicate more limited English proficiency, while higher bands demonstrate stronger English skills.
Right. Makes sense. So I imagine for people thinking about taking IELTS, understanding what score they need for their specific goal, like university admission or whatever, is pretty key, right?
Absolutely. You've got to know what you're aiming for.
Absolutely. So even if someone's just starting to think about IELTS, are there some like basic things they can start doing to prepare?
Yeah, for sure. Just building good English habits now can be super helpful.
Like what?
Well, try to have regular English conversations. This helps build fluency and confidence.
Makes sense.
Actively listen to English podcasts or watch movies or shows in English. Start with subtitles if you need to, and then try without. It's great for comprehension.
Yeah, definitely.
And then start writing regularly in English. Even if it's just short notes or emails, the practice really helps.
Right. Little things add up over time.
Exactly. And then lastly, I'd say start familiarizing yourself with common IELTS topics, like, things like education, technology, the environment. Those themes pop up a lot.
Good advice. So for everyone listening, we've gone on this initial deep dive into IELTS together. Hopefully you have a clearer picture now.
Absolutely.
We've covered what it is, the types, the structure, and some initial prep tips. So that's a good foundation, right?
Yeah, definitely. Something to think about is which aspect of this whole format seems the most challenging to you, or maybe the most interesting. That's a good place to start, like self-assess a bit.
Yeah, great point. Thanks for joining us for this deep dive, everyone.
Thanks for having me.
We hope you found it informative. Be sure to stay tuned for more focused explorations in future episodes.